The Parade of Liars. How America Stole the Liberation of Paris. August 26, 1944. The Champs-Élysées filled with a jubilant crowd. 2 million Parisians took to the streets to meet their liberators. Cameras clicked. Newsreels captured the moment. History was being created right now. But this history is a lie. In these photographs, you will not see the thousands of black soldiers who actually liberated the city. They are not in the frame by accident. They were removed deliberately. This was an operation to whitewash history carried out in the days before the parade. And it succeeded almost perfectly. Let's start with who actually liberated Paris. General Philippe Leclerc's French 2nd Armored Division entered the city first. But the composition of this division was an inconvenient truth for many. Most of the soldiers were not French from the mainland. They were Moroccans, Algerians, Tunisians, Chadians, Senegalese, black and Arab men from French colonies. They fought for a country that kept their peoples in subjugation. The paradox of war. American units marched with them. Among them, thousands of black soldiers from supply, transport, and communications units. They were not parade troops. They were the workhorses of war. Those who made everything else possible. Red Ball Express, the legendary supply system. 23,000 men, 75% black. They hauled fuel, ammunition, food, around the clock without stops, under bombing. From Normandy to the suburbs of Paris. Without them, Patton's tanks would have stopped within a week. The 761st Tank Battalion, all black. They actually fought. Their tanks entered the suburbs of Paris with the advance units. They took casualties. They knocked out German machine gun nests, engineer battalions. Black sappers restored bridges across the Seine. The Germans blew them up during their retreat. Without these bridges, troops could not enter the city. Black engineers worked under fire, cleared mines from the banks, built pontoons. Anti-aircraft units. Black gunners protected the advance from the Luftwaffe. German bombers tried to destroy supply routes. These crews shot them down. Medical units. Black medics and ambulance drivers evacuated the wounded directly from the battlefield. They risked their lives just like any infantryman. All these people were part of the liberation. Without them, it would have been impossible. Parisians saw them, met them, embraced them, thanked them. But they will not be at the parade. August 15th, 1944. 11 days before the parade. Headquarters of the Supreme Allied Expeditionary Force. General Dwight Eisenhower holds a meeting with public relations advisors. Paris will fall soon. This will be the greatest propaganda moment of the war. A symbolic victory over Nazism. The whole world will be watching. Photographs will spread across all newspapers. Newsreels will be shown in every cinema. The image of liberation must be correct. Correct for America in 1944. A country where 17 states have racial segregation laws, where blacks cannot sit next to whites on a bus, where they are lynched for trying to vote, where the army is divided by skin color, where command considers black soldiers inferior. The question is simple: how to control the image of liberation? The first problem is the French 2nd Division. Its commander, General Leclerc, is a hero of the resistance. De Gaulle personally entrusted him with the honor of entering Paris first. But the division's composition is unacceptable. Too many colonial troops. Too many black and brown faces. American General Walter Bedell Smith sends Leclerc a letter. The wording is diplomatic, but the meaning is clear. It is desirable that the division look more European. For photographs, for the press, for history. Leclerc is furious. His soldiers fought from Chad to Paris, crossed deserts and mountains. Many died. And now they need to be hidden? Because they have the wrong skin color? But the pressure is enormous. America provides supplies. America provides equipment. America decides who gets weapons and ammunition. De Gaulle depends on American support to restore his power in France. Risk this for principle? Leclerc compromises. Some colonial soldiers remain in the division. But for the parade, mostly whites are selected. Spanish Republicans who fled from Franco, French from the mainland, light-skinned Algerians. Those who are clearly black are placed in the back rows. This is only the first step. August 19th. Paris is not yet liberated, but plans are already being developed. Military planners draw up routes. Who will stand where? Which units will march down the Champs-Élysées? Which will remain on the outskirts? Black units receive orders. They will participate in clearing the suburbs. Important work. Dangerous work. The Germans left rear guards, snipers on roofs, mined streets. Black soldiers will clear district after district. But into Paris itself, into the center, to the parade, they will not be allowed. Red Ball Express units receive new assignments. They must ensure continuous supply to troops advancing toward the Rhine. A critically important mission. They cannot stop for a day. Therefore, very unfortunately, it is impossible to give them leave to participate in the parade. This sounds logical. This is even true. But this is also very convenient. The 761st Tank Battalion is directed north. Heavy fighting is underway there. Every tank is needed. They cannot waste time on ceremonies. They must fight. Again logical. Again true. Again convenient. Engineer units remain to restore infrastructure, bridges, roads, railway tracks. Paris needs restoration. This is their job. Anti-aircraft units must guard the sky over the city. The Luftwaffe is not yet defeated. The risk of raids remains. Anti-aircraft crews must be at positions, not at a parade. Medical units are processing a flow of wounded. The liberation of Paris cost blood. Hospitals are overflowing. Medics cannot leave their patients. Each explanation is reasonable. Each has a basis. Together they create a perfect picture. Black soldiers will not be at the parade for valid reasons. Not because they are being hidden. Circumstances just coincided. Geography is arranged clearly. White units in the center on camera. Black units on the periphery, out of frame. Coincidence? Of course coincidence. The day before the parade, Paris is already liberated. The Germans retreated or surrendered. The last shootouts are dying down. The city rejoices. Black soldiers enter the suburbs. Parisians run out to meet them, embrace them, kiss them, offer wine, invite them into homes, thank them with tears in their eyes. For these soldiers, this is a shock. Most are from the American South. They are accustomed to signs reading "whites only," to back seats on buses, to separate drinking fountains, to looks of hatred. And here, white people embrace them as heroes. Private Charles Wilson from Mississippi later recalled, "For the first time in his life, a white woman shook his hand. Not just shook it, pressed it to her lips, kissed his hand, thanked him with tears for freedom. He did not know how to react. This was beyond his experience. The French do not understand the American racial system. For them, a soldier is a soldier. A liberator is a liberator. Skin color does not matter. They just lived 4 years under Nazi occupation, under an ideology of racial supremacy. They know where this leads." An old Parisian woman tells a black soldier, "You saved us from people who killed because of race. You are heroes." The soldier cannot explain to her that in his country he can be lynched for looking at a white woman the wrong way. But the celebration will be tomorrow, and these soldiers will not be there. Military photographers receive instructions: which angles to shoot, which units to photograph, where to place cameras. Newsreel operators receive similar guidelines. There is a story that needs to be shown, and there is a story that does not need to be shown. No written orders are given. Everything on verbal agreements. Later it will be possible to deny. Documents will not lie, because there are no documents. White units are drawn to the center. They are put in order. Uniforms cleaned, boots polished, formation checked, marching rehearsed. Everything must be perfect. Some of these units actually participated in battles. Others were in the rear and only now came for the parade. It does not matter. They are white. They are on camera. The morning of the parade. Paris wakes up in euphoria. 4 years of occupation have ended. The swastika no longer hangs over the city. The French tricolor flies again over all buildings. The Champs-Élysées is ready. 2 million people lined up along the route. Roofs packed with people. Windows open, flags hanging from them. The atmosphere of carnival and liberation. General de Gaulle arrives at the Place de l'Étoile, tall, rigid, unbending, a symbol of French resistance. The man who refused to capitulate in 1940, who for 4 years spoke from London. France has not died. And here he is, in free Paris. Next to him, General Leclerc, the one whose division first entered the city. His face is impenetrable. He knows what compromise was made, knows who is not in this column. But he is a soldier. He follows orders. At 11 in the morning, the column begins to move. In front, tanks of the French 2nd Division. Behind them, infantry. Row after row. French soldiers, Spanish Republicans, a few light-skinned Algerians in sight. Black soldiers of this division are somewhere in the back rows, covered by others. The crowd roars. People cry with joy. They throw flowers, wave flags. This is the moment they waited 4 years for. The liberators are here, on their streets. Cameras work continuously. Photo correspondents catch every moment. Newsreel operators film for history. The image is being created right now. The liberation of Paris will look like this. White faces in uniform. A European army liberates a European city. Behind the French march American units, carefully selected. White infantry companies, white tank crews, white artillerymen. They march precisely. They look impressive. They are the face of the American army for the world press. Parisians greet them too. For the French, these are also liberators. They do not know about the racial politics behind the scenes. They see the army of allies, and they are grateful. The column passes through the Arc de Triomphe, descends the Champs-Élysées, turns toward the Place de la Concorde. The entire path is a solid wall of jubilant people. Flowers fall from balconies. Girls run out to kiss soldiers. Old men salute with tears. Children wave little flags. This is truly a great moment. Paris is free. Nazism is retreating. The end of the war is visible on the horizon. The joy is completely sincere. And the lie is also completely successful. On the outskirts of the city, black soldiers continue their work. They clear buildings of mines, restore water supply, repair roads, unload trucks with food, guard warehouses, patrol districts. They hear the jubilation from the center, know that there is a parade there. Some would like to be there. Most are already used to it. They know their place in this army. They do the dirty work, and whites get the glory. It has always been this way. Why should today be different? But some cannot accept this. They liberated this city. They risked their lives. They have the right to be there. Private James Carter tries to go to the center, wants to at least see the parade. Military police stop him. The order is, black soldiers do not enter the center, only with special passes. Carter has no pass. He returns to base. Another soldier, whose name we do not know, later wrote home, "We liberated Paris on Friday. On Saturday they held a parade without us." The following days, photographs fly around the world. Newspapers publish spreads. Life magazine makes a special issue. Newsreels are shown in all cinemas in America, Britain, the free world. Everywhere the same picture. White soldiers liberate Paris. The French 2nd Division looks like a European army. American troops look like a white army. A clean, heroic picture of democracy's victory over tyranny. In black newspapers in America, the tone is different. Pittsburgh Courier, Baltimore Afro-American, Chicago Defender, they know the truth. Their correspondents were there. They saw who really worked. They know about the black units that did not make it to the parade. But the black press is a ghetto. White America does not read it. White editors do not believe it. The official version is what the white press shows. And the official version does not include black liberators. Soldiers write letters home. They tell how Parisians met them, how they thanked them, how for the first time in their lives white people treated them as equals, how Parisian girls saw no difference between a black and white soldier. These letters go through military censorship. Some things are crossed out, especially what can create racial tension in the army. Black soldiers cannot be allowed to think that racial equality is possible. But letters still get through. Families read them. Black communities learn. There is a place in the world where their sons and brothers are treated humanly. This knowledge is dangerous for the segregation system. Meanwhile, in Paris, life continues. The city gradually returns to normality. Shops open. Cafes work. People try to establish daily life after 4 years of occupation. And black soldiers discover the city. They enter cafes and are served. Sit at any table and no one tells them to leave. Walk through parks and there are no signs reading, "Whites only." This is a revelation. Many of them have never been abroad, never lived in a society without Jim Crow. They thought racial segregation was normal, natural. This is how the world is arranged. Paris shows them differently. The world can be arranged otherwise. Parisian women see no problem in relationships with black soldiers. They dance with them in clubs, walk with them along the Seine embankments, invite them to visit, fall in love. This drives white American soldiers into a rage. They tried to establish segregation in Parisian establishments, demanded that bar owners not let in blacks, threatened boycotts. Parisians mostly refused. This caused fights. White soldiers beat blacks on the streets. Military police usually arrested blacks, even if whites attacked. But French public opinion was on the side of blacks. Parisian newspapers wrote articles criticizing American racism. How do you fight against Nazi racial ideology but practice your own? This was uncomfortable. America positioned itself as a defender of democracy, leader of the free world. And here an allied country publicly criticizes it for racism. Bad for image. Autumn 1944. The war continues. Troops move toward Germany. Paris remains in the rear. Black units continue supply work. Red Ball Express hauls cargo day and night. Losses from fatigue and accidents grow. But the front must receive supplies. In December, the Battle of the Bulge begins. The Germans strike a counterblow in the Ardennes. The Allies suffer heavy losses. All combat-ready soldiers are needed. The army makes a desperate decision. For the first time in the war, black soldiers are offered to voluntarily transfer to combat units. You can serve in infantry, fight on the front line. True, only in the rank of private. Even if you had the rank of sergeant in a non-combat unit, in infantry you will start as a private. And you will serve in platoons under the command of white officers. Thousands sign up, despite the humiliation of demotion, despite the fact that they will not be allowed into command positions. They want to prove they can fight, that they are real soldiers. They fight well. White officers are surprised. White soldiers who initially did not want them in their units begin to respect them. In trenches under fire, skin color quickly ceases to matter. But as soon as the battle ends, they are separated again. Integration was a temporary measure. The emergency has passed. Racial order is restored. The war ends in May 1945. Germany capitulates. Soldiers prepare to return home. Black veterans return to America. They saw the world, fought for freedom, experienced life without segregation in France. They are no longer ready to accept the old order. In the South, this is met with hostility. These blacks do not know their place. They are spoiled by abroad. They are dangerous. Lynchings begin. Veterans in uniform with medals are killed for refusing to sit in the back of the bus, for trying to vote, for being too proud. Isaac Woodard, who served 5 years, is blinded by police a few hours after discharge. 4 veterans are lynched in Georgia. Dozens of others are beaten. But something has changed. These veterans are not alone. They organize. Join the NAACP, create self-defense groups, demand their rights. They saw that another world is possible, that Paris accepted them as people, that French women did not see them as a threat, that it is possible to live without segregation. This knowledge became the seed of the civil rights movement that will blossom in 10 years. Years pass. The war becomes history. Books are written, films are made, memorials are built. The story of the liberation of Paris is told again and again, always with the same photographs, always with the same images. White soldiers, the French army, heroic liberation. Black veterans try to tell their story, but no one listens. Official history is already written. Photographs do not lie, right? And in the photographs there are no black soldiers. Some historians dig deeper, find documents. Army records show where units really were on the day of the parade, which units performed which tasks, who actually liberated the city. A different picture emerges. But academic books are read by few. Popular history remains the same. In the 1950s, the civil rights movement appears. Many of its leaders are war veterans. They remember France. Remember how it can be different. Medgar Evers, veteran of the Normandy landing, killed in 1963 for fighting for black rights. Amzie Moore, veteran, organizer of voting campaigns in Mississippi. Dozens of others. The experience of war, the experience of France radicalized them. They could no longer accept the American system of racial segregation. In the 1960s, France becomes a refuge for Black American artists and writers. James Baldwin lives in Paris, writes about racism in America from a city where he is treated like a human being. He writes, "I learned in France that there was nothing wrong with me. The problem was in America." The 2000s, 60th anniversary of the liberation of Paris. A new generation of historians raises the question, where were the black soldiers? Documents are declassified. Eisenhower's letters, orders on redeployment of units, officers' memoirs. The picture becomes clear. This was deliberate exclusion, an operation to whitewash history, planned and executed at the highest level. French historians begin searching for brown children, those born from relationships between black soldiers and French women. There are thousands of them. Many never knew their fathers. They were ashamed of their origin in the racist society of post-war France. Now they are being sought. DNA tests are offered. Help is provided to find information about fathers. This is a long process. Many fathers have already died, but at least their children learn the truth. In 2014, for the 70th anniversary of the liberation, France invites Red Ball Express veterans to an official ceremony. They are 80 to 90 years old. Few are still alive, but those who can, come. They are given medals, speeches are made, thanks are given. Finally, after 70 years, their contribution is officially recognized. The American Army also begins to revise its history. Some black veterans are posthumously awarded medals they deserved, but did not receive because of racism. In 2021, Hollywood releases several films showing black soldiers in World War II. Not always historically accurate, but at least their existence is acknowledged. But most people still do not know this history. Ask a random person about the liberation of Paris. They will describe the picture from that very parade. White soldiers, the French army, the image from old newsreels. The lie turned out to be surprisingly resilient. The story of the liberation of Paris is a story about two battles. One was against the Nazis. It was won. The other was against racism within the Allied armies. It was lost. The parade of August 26, 1944 was a triumph of propaganda. The image was created perfectly. White heroes liberate a European city from Nazi tyranny. Democracy defeats fascism. Freedom triumphs. But this image was built on exclusion. Thousands of soldiers who actually made liberation possible were erased from the picture. Not because they fought poorly, not because they did not deserve recognition, but because they had the wrong skin color. The irony is that they fought against an ideology of racial supremacy. Nazism was built on the idea that some races are superior to others, that Aryans should rule, and others should serve or die. America defeated this ideology while practicing its own version of racial division. Not as extreme, not as bloody, but built on the same foundation, that race determines a person's value. Black soldiers saw this. They saw the paradox. They liberated the world from one racism, returning home to another racism. This understanding changed them, made them the core of the future civil rights movement. So the parade of August 26th was not only a triumph of propaganda, it was also a failure. Because truth cannot be hidden forever. It seeps through. In soldiers' letters, in Parisians' memories, in archive documents, in the lives of those brown children. And when truth comes out, the lie becomes even more obvious. Today we can say precisely, Paris was liberated by the efforts of soldiers of all races. White, black, Arab, all. They worked together, fought together, died together. A history that excludes any of them is not history. It is propaganda. And perhaps the most important lesson of this story is not about the past. It is a question about the present. Who else are we excluding from our stories? Whose contributions are we ignoring? What new parades of liars are we staging today? The story of the liberation of Paris teaches us, image is not truth. A photograph can lie without changing a single pixel, simply by not showing everything, simply by excluding inconvenient heroes from the frame. The real story is always more complex, always includes more people, always less convenient, but only it is worthy of being called history.